I don't know if you noticed, but every single makeup brand has been reformulating their iconic foundations. This also includes Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder recently reformulated their iconic OG Double Wear foundation that used to look like this, and now we have the new version. The 2025-2026 version is in my hands, so today I'm going to be reviewing it for you guys. I'm going to be kind of comparing the new shades to the old shades, seeing if there's a difference, but of course I'm going to be concentrating more on this one because this is the one that we have available to us right now. So I am going to conduct a wear test, a full thorough review with all the details. Who is this for? What skin types is it good for? The ingredients list, you name it, I've got it. This is what you come to this channel for. So I am here to deliver. Expect a verdict at the end of this video as well as a wear test. And now let's hit it. Estee Lauder new Double Wear foundation. Are you worth it? Let's find out. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup. This is the new foundation. I guess you can call it reformulated, or perhaps you can call it the 2025-2026 version. And so here I have the product, and I have it in two shades. Shade Tawny, which is a shade that I wear or used to wear in the original Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. Shade Tawny, the original one. So I just wanted to show you the packaging side by side, what it looks like with the differences. Basically, the old one has an Estee Lauder logo, but the bottles are very, very similar. They're both frosted. They're both kind of squared with slightly shaved off edges. Feels pretty heavy on the packaging, very similar. The original one was made in Canada. The new one is still made in Canada. Perhaps it's not the only difference, but what Estee Lauder claims is that this new 2026 version is more buildable and breathable than the OG. So this is $52. There are 57 shades. I'm not sure if there are 57 altogether. That's just what I counted on the Sephora website. Perhaps there are 60, but 57 is what I counted. So this is a matte finish, long wearing, non-comedogenic, medium coverage, supposed to be hydrating, and it's also supposed to reduce oil production. So I think this is really good for those of us with oily skin. This does not come with the pump, unfortunately, just like the original one did not. The pump is sold separately, but it's $10, so it's not really a big deal. But 52 plus $10 makes it 62, so kind of pricey. Let's see, this also has some glycerin, some hyaluronic acid, and also some niacinamide. I've heard a lot of you guys say that you wish that skincare would stay out of makeup, specifically out of foundations and out of face bases. I can't say that I agree or disagree because those two ingredients don't bother my skin. I kind of like the hyaluronic acid in foundations, and I don't mind the niacinamide. I don't see it making my skin break out more or act any differently, so I'm okay with this. But I'm just calling this out because I know I'm going to be disappointing a lot of people with this news. As far as the ingredients are concerned, there are no red flags. In fact, this foundation actually is set to be pretty clean for a foundation. The only thing is that there are some film formers, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing for longevity. This is supposed to be up to 36 hours of wear, but the film formers definitely require double cleansing and perhaps a little scrubbing with one of those rubbery little silicone sponges, if you know those. But anyways, those are all the details that I have on this new foundation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch the OG and the new Tawny just to compare the two shades. So let's start with the OG first. I haven't used this one in such a long time, actually, but it still smells good. So this is shade Tawny in the OG Double Wear foundation, and the number for the shade is 3W1. You know what? I also have my winter shade Rattan 2W2. I'm going to swatch that one as well, although from the looks of it, from the swatch, the Tawny is good for right now. Here's the Rattan. Definitely a little bit too bright for me right now. But just for reference, these are both supposed to have a golden olive undertone. So now I'm going to shake up the reformulated, the 2026 version for shade Tawny. That painterly scent is gone. I'm noticing that immediately. And also, upon the swatch, this new foundation feels just a little bit thinner. What do you think? Is this a perfect match? Is it me, or does the new Tawny feel a little bit more orange, like it's warmer and more saturated than the original. The original was a little bit more olive, I would say. But let's see how they oxidize. All right, I also grabbed another shade 3W 1.5, which is Fawn. I've never tried this shade before. I don't remember if it existed in the OG, but instead of the rattan, I figured why not try another shade for summer. This one is supposed to be an olive undertone. By the looks of it, by that first initial swatch, I feel like it's looking a little bit more yellow than olive. Still, the most olive out of all of these is definitely my second swatch. You tell me if this is how it appears in the monitor, but that's how it appears in my view, you know? So here you have it. Here are the swatches, and here's the difference. I'm gonna let these dry for just a little bit, and the reason being is because my recollection of the original Double Wear foundation, and also the reason why I didn't reach for it much, is because it oxidized like crazy. You swatched it one shade, but then 10 minutes later it was a completely different shade, and I never really liked that. I was able to make it work with powders and with blushes, bronzers, whatever, but shade rattan especially was never really my perfect winter match. It always oxidized a little bit too pinky on me, and I just was always a little bit triggered by it. I don't know. So right now I'm kind of seeing that happening to the OG swatches, but not so much to the new ones. The new ones kind of look the same, but I'm not sure if they're good matches for me. So what we're gonna do is actually start this test and this review. I'm gonna remove all of this from my face, and we're going to start fresh. So my goal for today's video is not to compare this to the original, but in fact, I kind of just want to wear both of these shades, and I want to see how this foundation wears. I almost don't want to treat it like it's a new version of the OG that we're all used to. I just want to treat it as its own new product, and so I want to see what happens. All right, someone said that this is a really good primer for this foundation. This is the Armani Luminous Silk Illuminating Primer. I'm going to add that just to the perimeter of my face. I don't need too much luminosity in the center of my face because I am oily, and also I am breaking out, unfortunately, on this side of the face. Really wish I had a pump because this is just a tad annoying, but that's okay. Picking up just a little bit of product, dot that to this side of my face. This, by the way, is shade Tawny. I'm going to see how this blends out with a brush. This is the 109 brush from BK Beauty. So here we have it, one sheer layer. It looks really good. It looks really decent. Up close, I don't see it emphasizing any of my texture. Everything looks kind of smoothed out. It almost feels like a skin tint. Definitely very lightweight. So I'm going to add a pinch more coverage just to see how far it'll take me if I add it on top. Honestly, not too bad. Not too bad at all. The second layer did add a bit more coverage. I can see that in my monitor, but it also is starting to feel like makeup. So I'm going to take my sponge and I'm just going to remove any excess product from the parts of my face where I really don't need too much product. All right, here we go. So now for the other side of the face, I'm going to grab shade Fawn, shake it up, and I'm going to do the same thing. First, I'm going to dot on the product, and then I'm going to buff it in with the brush. Is it me, or is there no difference in shades? Or perhaps this is so sheer that it's blending in with my skin tone underneath, and you're really not seeing a difference that much. Perhaps it is like a pinch more yellow, but not drastically so, because overall, it looks pretty balanced. All right, I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that Fawn. I just dab to the areas where I need it the most, which in today's case is my chin and jawline. And I'm going to go in with the sponge. Just kind of press it in, make it all melt. I don't know. I feel like the sponge removed product from my actual breakouts. So I'm going to need to go in with a concealer. Thankfully, I do have a concealer, and it is the Double Wear Stay in Place Concealer. The shade that I have here is 2W, so it's lighter because I actually meant to grab it for my under eye. But today I'm going to have to just make it work. I really love the large doe foot applicator here. And then for my concealer, this is the trick of how I make a brighter concealer work with my foundation. I just take my brush that already has some foundation on it, and I just press it in until it disappears. All right, so here is the face. Here is what it's looking like. At this point, I think we need a close-up. Okay, first the forehead is looking really good. A little bit dewy, not too matte. This side of the face with the Fawn, a little bit of breakouts that I have. Now this side of the face with the Tawny. In this iPhone footage, I can tell the difference between the two shades, but I definitely can't see it in the monitor. Interesting. Perhaps it's the lights. I don't know, but we will see what this looks like in daylight. So now quickly, I'm just going to set all this because this definitely feels a little bit creamy on the face. You know, you could see that I am wearing makeup and I definitely need to powder it down. I'm going to use my Hourglass veil that I absolutely love. I'm going to gently set my under eye, also all the areas that I brighten with concealer between the brows and the center of the forehead. And then I'm going to gently set the rest of the face with just a little bit of powder to get rid of any stickiness or any of that excess shine. So now to bring back some dimension, I'm just going to use the NARS bronzer. This is the powder bronzer. I'm going to sweep that across my forehead, use this bronzer instead of blush, and one more close-up. All right, here we go, powder down. I'm not sure if you can tell the difference. Also, I'm not really liking this whole area here. Why is it looking so rough? Is it the phone or am I breaking out more than I thought I was? I don't know. Let's see how this wears. So let's cue in that good old time warping music so we can jump into tomorrow so that we can see what this looks like during the day and also how this wears. Let's go. Hi guys, I am back. It is the very next day. It is noon. I am sitting between my two windows, 45 degrees towards the light. Even though I'm not in direct sun, it is daytime, and this is what the Double Wear foundation looks like the very next day, freshly applied. So this is the side of the face where I am wearing tawny. This is the side where I'm wearing fawn. I can't tell which one is a better match. Even in this lighting, it's a little bit tricky. Perhaps in direct sunlight, I'll be able to tell more. But in this somewhat overcast lighting, they look more or less the same. One thing that I learned from the previous part of the video where I first applied the foundation is that I didn't really like the way that it looked at the end of that footage. Something about it was just a little too clingy, a little too drying, a little too makeup-y looking, especially in the center of my face. So I went back on the Sephora website just to make sure that I was wearing the right primer with it. And of course, I was wrong. The primer that I used, the Armani, was not the suggested one. In fact, if you click on the how to use section, they recommend using the Estee Lauder Advanced Night Repair Serum underneath your Double Wear foundation. So this is exactly what I did today. So something different. I applied this all over the face, even though it's not the nighttime, but this is a serum and it gives you an overall balanced look, skin finish. So I did that. I waited for it to dry. Then I applied my Danessa Meyers Exploring Balm powder directly to the center of my face where I have more texture. I waited for that to dry, and then I went in with Shade Fawn and Shade Tawny on this side of the face. I set everything the same using the Hourglass translucent veil. I added the same concealer under my eyes. However, I color corrected or concealed my spots with an actual skin matching concealer. So this is what this side of the face, the broken out side, looks like now. And this is what this side of the face looks like. Overall, I can't say that I'm pleased with the way that everything is looking from up close. It looks just a little bit too solid, dry, and a pinch unskin-like in my opinion. But that's not to say that it won't wear well. Because this is a long-wearing foundation, because this is meant for oilier skin types like mine, I'm presuming that it will probably get better throughout the day. One thing I will say is that I appreciate that so far there is no oxidization. Everything looks the same as I had just applied it on. So that's good. Let's see how this wears. And the next time you'll hear from me will be the wear test. And also, fingers crossed. Wear test time is now 8 hours later. I'm sitting almost in the same spot as I was sitting before. I'm in front of the window now. The sun is about to set. It is almost 8:30. And this is my face at the end of the day wearing the new Double Wear foundation by Estee Lauder. Overall, I will say that the foundation has worn pretty well. I do look just a little bit oily here in the center. You can see some reflection. You can definitely see a lot of reflection happening in the center of my face. And then when I turn to the side, you can see a lot of bumps. So although I can say that this foundation has worn well, I don't think my skin and this foundation are compatible. Because it has those film formers, because it clings to your texture, no matter what kind of texture you have, whether you have a dry texture or an oily skin texture with open enlarged pores or breakouts like what I have, I feel like this is not a good look for me. My skin is better than this. I'm going to come in a little bit closer so you can see. it looks like the foundation has settled into some lines that I didn't even know I had. I don't even have lines that are there, but you could definitely see that it's creased. So essentially, it's enhancing any minor texture that you may have, and it's making it look magnified, multiplied. I am in no way a fan of that. That is not what I signed up for. This is not what I signed up for when I look for foundations. I feel like it looks kind of makeup-y at the end of the day. And moreover, I just don't think that this is texture friendly. I can't say that me and the Double Wear foundation have ever really been compatible, and I can't say that for this new version. I don't love it. I don't love it. Although it's worn well, like I said, it's not enough for me. I want it to be smooth. I want it to be bettering my texture. I want it to be perfecting it rather than making it look worse. And judging by my reflection that I see in my phone right now, my texture is worse than how it normally looks. This is, I don't know, definitely aging, definitely not perfecting, but almost looks like, you know, when you Photoshop a photo and you turn on the sharpness all the way and just everything becomes really gritty. This is what my skin is looking like right now. Just too gritty, too makeup-y. I'm so sorry, but this one sadly is not for me. I don't actually know who this would be good for unless you have super, super smooth dolphin skin, which is what I like to refer to it as. But even if you have a breakout, even if you have any sort of dry patch, any sort of pore situation, this will absolutely magnify and enhance it, at least from my experience. Perhaps I needed to moisturize my face even more. Maybe I needed to use something a little bit richer as my primer, but honestly, I don't want to do all that. It's the summertime and I just want to go out the door and just have an easy makeup day, you know? Anyways, this is my review. This is my wear test. These are my final 2 cents. Will I be using this again? Probably not, because I have better foundations that perform way better, such as these two that I absolutely love, that do not do this to my face. All right, with that said, I'm going to zoom on out. I'm going to invite you guys to check out more of my videos over here, or maybe over here. I don't know. Click on them and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.